Well, good morning, good noon, or good night to each and every one of you tuning in on whatever day of the week you've chosen to listen to this show, Ghosts of Boyfriends Past. Tom Harris here.
And Elizabeth Best.
With Elizabeth Best, your host of this little show. And you've joined us on a minisode today.
Now, sometimes people just listen to minisodes, I've found
Is that
out.
so?
There are some people that just listen because apparently they're just like good bite-sized like snacks of
Yes.
us because we are snacks.
Yes.
And this is a snack podcast.
When you're a little bored / hungry and you want that little salt, a little sugar, something in your
something
bloodstream.
a bit salty sweet.
That's what the Ghosts of
That's
Boyfriends Past minisode is to some of these people. Well, very good. On our main episodes, those of you who are joining us for a new or only recently, we have main episodes normally where we bring a guest on and they will share a story about a relationship gone by.
Yes.
Boys, girls, all, large eggplants,
Everything in between.
all
Yep.
in sundry.
Yes.
And we unpack that story and we share, we laugh, we cry, kumbaya.
Yes.
On our minisodes, we theme them around questions. Questions get sent in by our lovely readers, or we source them ourselves. And that is what today's episode is.
It's all about
a minisode.
us giving, hopefully, not too shitty advice.
Yes, I'd like to think of Ghosts of Boyfriends Past more of an advice library where we point people come to us with an issue and we go down there, that section, and we point them to help rather than our own professional help.
Yes, exactly. The lawyers say that you are not allowed to follow our advice without doing some kind of research first.
Yeah, we're not experts here. That's the issue.
We're like, in the scheme of things, we've been doing this podcast for long enough that if we were to be on somebody else's podcast, they'd probably call us relationship experts.
Absolutely.
And we'd be like, no, okay, fine.
But with that endeavour in mind, it is a mini-sode and we do have some questions to get through, Elizabeth. And I'm going to take you back to dating. And
please don't.
Someone wants to know on early dates, first date, second date, what are some questions that you like to ask? And it's a good question because when you meet someone and start dating them, obviously there's quite a lot of information you want to learn about someone. There's so many ways to be compatible. There's so much history information you want.
Then on first dates, your brain goes blank and you forget what questions are and how to ask about things that you care about too. So that's a good question to ask. I know what I hate is when the first thing that people talk about is, what do you do? And that's always the first question that people ask. And I get it because that's usually the only question my brain can think of when I'm sitting opposite someone. But my work's boring. I don't want to talk about what I do for a job.
It drives me to, I'm
happy to tell you what I do for a job and then let's move on to something else. But yeah.
But is that going to then propel you towards a second date, finding out that information on the first date?
Depends
I don't know
how much money they... No, that's a terrible thing to say.
There we go.
I've never dated someone for money. Let me put it out there. I date starving artists.
No one has ever dated me for money, so we know.
No, same.
Look,
I always like knowing what are some fun things that they like to do. I like knowing what kind of TV shows they like and movies they like, because if we've got similar TV movie interests, then we can just wax lyrical about directors or TV series or cliffhangers or something like that. There was a speed dating party I went to that had really interesting questions on the table though, to prompt you to ask not just so what music do you like, what food do you like, things like how would you deal with the zombie apocalypse? Who would you keep in your life for the zombie apocalypse? And then our producers just said gun to his own head, and I was like, oh great.
Yes,
cool.
if we were answering that on mic, I'm being bitten first, or walking out to be struck by the asteroid that's striking Earth.
I'm the person who will talk a big game as long as somebody else, I can.
And then day one of the zombie
I'm
apocalypse.
either day one gone because I've tripped while standing still, or as long as somebody else can protect me, I'm good at strategizing. So as long as someone, I would be rubbish on Survivor because I can't do any physical challenges, but fuck, I play a good social game.
Yes, it's my take.
Again, that's a good question to ask. How would you do if you're on a season of Survivor?
We've already taken this question and run.
Interesting questions on, imagine there's a box. In fact, go and buy a box of interesting dinner party questions and have a look at them, because there's some gold in there of really interesting questions to ask.
My my inkling would be, or from my point of view, I think I would sort of quietly dig and look for what they're passionate about.
Because then you can have banter about it rather than listing things.
It might be something like an issue or like a political issue or something. It might be a hobby or a band.
I ban politics and religion from first dates.
Yeah, but
honestly,
finding out where does this person get energy from, and life and love and all that stuff.
Because when you see their eyes light up, that's when you use that's when I use my journalism skills and go, I'm prodding further on that question, because I like seeing somebody light up with passion, because it means then you kind of let some of your guard down and it stops being like an interview.
And I think, yes, you're right. And I think if you can connect with someone's passion, it's different to liking the same TV show or the same movie. There's you get a deeper connection to their roots a little.
Yeah.
And you can sort of tap into that understanding, take that forward onto your consequent dates if they do follow a first date.
Yeah, good question.
Great
I enjoyed
question.
that.
Wonderful question.
This one is from our Ghost of Boyfriends past group therapy group.
Yes.
I'm going to leave the poster nameless, even though they did put it up there, but for the people inside the group. So if you'd like to come and join our Ghost of Boyfriends past group therapy group, feel free. But this question is, how do you prefer to be broken up with? Gee. Now, here's the backstory. It says, my husband and I are poly. We've spent a considerable amount of time on ourselves and our relationship and are now opening up. We're going to start dating, and that's very exciting. Recently, an old friend of mine reached out, and we have this meme sending kind of friendship, except I don't like his. I think she means I don't like his memes.
Yes.
Y'all wouldn't like them either. They're major red flags. So he's not a prospect anymore and he has to go. I was telling my husband about how I could just ghost him, but that feels very against my values of honesty and kindness. So the conversation then turned with how to break up with someone, what's okay and what isn't. Communication is paramount in ENM. What's ENM? Something non-monogamy, I'm guessing. Exclusive non-monogamy.
Yeah.
And we want to be good at concluding relationships because we would want to be told that it was over, not just left wondering. So I've already answered this question online, but I'm curious as to what you prefer, Tom. How do you prefer to be broken up with? Like, what are your likes, dislikes?
Ultimately, no one wants to be broken up with or dumped, right? No one wants to go through that because I'm talking about the short-term physical, like, oh my God, this sucks. But to choose how you get broken up with, I suppose, compassion, and I'm a sucker for wanting to know why and things like that. Like, what? Tell me why. I need to know the bad thing. Tell me why, how I fucked. So I would be looking for information, I suppose.
Right.
Don't just say, hey, you and me, we're done. I would need to go.
Yeah, that's no closure there.
Yeah, I need a little bit of, well, is it because I stink? Is it because, I need to know a little bit more. So compassion and just some information. You don't have to.
Ghosting is absolutely bottom of my list. Don't do it to anybody. I don't like, unless somebody is a major red flag of a human to the point where you feel unsafe around them, then you can ghost.
Yes. If you have to completely ghost someone, that should probably come from a sense of danger or peril or something.
You don't want to deal with the situation.
Yes, but
so what I said is that I've got time length rules, right? So if it's new, then a to the point text message would suffice, explaining your feelings. So if you've gone on one date with someone, but it's a thanks but no thanks, gone on 2 dates with someone, thanks but no thanks. And I like to also go with the compliment sandwich, where I say something nice, like say a nice thing about them, give them the bad news and the explanation, and then reassurance that they're still a good human kind of thing. Because I just believe in being a good person, and but if you've been seeing them for a while, I believe they are owed in person. Not a phone call, not a text message.
So
and I know that a lot of Generation Z are going to be like, oh my God, nobody does that anymore. But I just think it's common decency that, like, let's say you've been dating someone for like 6 months to a year.
You're getting towards.
That's an in-person, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would agree.
And it feels awful. But the thing that I've told somebody when I'm like, she's like, but why? Why do I have to? I've had lots of advice recently. recently? Why do I have to call them? Why do I have to show up in person? It's literally because it helps you as well, because you get an immediate feedback on how they're feeling and what the situation is. You don't need to sit there and send it off and then freak out for a couple of hours about how they're responding. You get immediate feedback. So as much as it's really scary sometimes to do shit in person or over the phone, it's going to calm your nerves and anxiety in the long run because you have the closure.
There is something to that. That's a similar feeling when you walk out of an exam you were dreading or a doctor's visit you were unsure about, and you walk out the other side and you've done it in person and you survived it. That feeling of like, yes, I know I got all the information and it all happened. Yeah, that's an important. That is important.
Exactly. So even though, like, I hate talking on the phone, hate it.
I think we've explored this quietly on a episode gone by. If you break up with someone in person, the other person knows. If you send them a text, you don't know that they've got that text.
Yeah.
So you're walking around thinking you're a single man. You're sending off this text saying, "Toots, it's over, goodbye."
Or if you've been vague because you're trying to be too polite, they might not know that you've been broken up with.
Next thing you know, you're hooking up with someone else, but you're still in a relationship, even though you'd think that you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Nightmare.
Like it just avoids, But again, if you've only gone on a couple of dates, I think a to the point, polite text message is 100% fair and fine. The only time when I say avoid in person, if you've been dating for a long time, is if they are a dangerous person or you are worried in any way about an abusive reaction.
Yes. Question dealt with. I would decree.
Hooray!
And Liz, in a relationship, what do you think one of the most intimate things is that isn't sexual? Intimate things between.
I just dropped my phone. What is intimate but not sexual? Do you know what my favorite thing is? Having a book read to me.
Oh, yes.
Having a book read to me or reading a book out aloud. Sharing literature together, I find incredibly intimate.
I don't, because this isn't...
It's only ever happened with one partner, and I just spent the whole time, like we just read for a couple of hours, and I was just like, this is so special to me because the book is great. They're making an effort with reading it out to me.
Time
it's something
together,
that we're sharing. We're taking turns.
Very good.
Yeah.
I like being close enough to whisper to one another is nice. If you're ever in an art gallery and you're close or something and you're whispering about the art, look at the art.
You're sharing like a thing.
Suddenly
sometimes cooking can be really intimate if you're cooking together, but if you're like me, get out of my kitchen.
That's right. Yeah. It's I'm sure there are people out in the world who can cook together with their lovely partner and everything would be bliss and happy. But I don't think that's for Liz or myself.
Look, I will give you an overshare though about something that was intimate about cooking. An ex of mine, who I'm not going to name for obvious reasons, every time I would make anything with beef stock, so I'd crumble the stock cube, he would ask if he could suck the beef stock off my fingers every single time. I'd be like, stop, and he'd be like, yes, please. And it was just cute. And sometimes it wasn't sexual at all. It was just like delicious beef stock.
It's still intimate.
It was an intimate thing that was kind of like an in thing that I was like, this is really cute and I like it, and I would never want anyone else to see it, but you can all hear it and picture it instead.
But this hasn't happened. This doesn't happen to.
I want to ask this in the group. Actually, I'm going to post right now in the group, and next time we get on a Minisode questions, I'm going to ask the answers to it because I want to know.
It's a live posting to the to the Ghost of Boyfriends Past Facebook group, which is called Group Therapy. And as Liz types, you can join us there. Jump on Facebook, look for Ghost of Boyfriends Past Group Therapy. You'll just find a like-minded group of people who are posting memes, posting their dating stories, their dating hell. It's a continuation of this here podcast.
And a lot of people ask questions in there as well that they can get help from the hive mind from. So, and we've even got like a couple of communication specialists who are in the group who can help with stuff like that.
There's some big brains bouncing around in that little group. As we draw to a close of this here minisode of Ghosts of Boyfriends Past, thank you for joining us once again. As ever, we thoroughly appreciate not just you listening every week, but rating the show, those of you who have, sharing the show, those of you who have, because you'll find someone out there who can get something good from this show, you'll affect someone's life in a better way by passing it on. So thank you for that. Apart from that, send in your stories if you have them.
Yes.
Dating stories. We want them. Send them to ghostsofboyfriendspast@gmail.com.
Even if they're only like a paragraph of this happened, punchline. Like, we love that stuff.
And we can put that on a minisode. If we can't flesh out a full episode with your story, we can put it on a minisode. Don't worry, your story can be heard.
Until next time, where we have a guest on a mainsode, like write in and tell us what's something intimate that you've done in a couple that's not sex.
Hi, I'm Travis.
And I'm Serge, and we are the hosts of Now That's Interesting podcast.
Here we talk about the topics that catch our interest and hopefully spark your curiosity to dig deeper into the world around you.
We go into enough detail to get a better understanding of the topic we cover.
Say just a bit above your average pub chat.
We talk about everything from conspiracy theories here on Earth to rovers on Mars and everything in between.
Find us on whichever platform you get your podcast fix.